Okay, so the two major features of this frame that make it a really good frame, firstly, the front pegs. The front pegs are designed to dig into the ground. Now what this does is it totally secures the winch. So when you're riding behind the winch, the frame and the motor and everything doesn't move at all. Now the second good thing about this frame design is it's really compact and streamlined. I could carry this by myself, but it's a little bit awkward. Two people could carry this for miles and then they wouldn't feel the weight or the strain of carrying it. Okay, so on the DTS winch we use a 6.5 horsepower Honda knockoff. What I mean by knockoff is it's made in China, it's not a genuine Honda motor. I've found this motor super reliable, super powerful, and just definitely suits the purpose. They're also a lot cheaper. You can pick this one up from about $230 at your local hardware, or even cheaper on eBay. Okay, so here you've got your pull start. That's designed to obviously start the motor. Up here you've got your throttle. Now you just push that forward to bring your rider in and pull it back to let the engine off. Up here, this is your choke. That's so you can start the motor on a cold day. And this one here is your fuel, so you can either turn your fuel on and off. Okay, so we've got the muffler here. The reason why I've welded the muffler on is to prevent the exhaust fumes hitting this white backsplash. This backsplash is actually just plastic, so if the exhaust fumes were to go directly onto this plastic, it would melt through really quickly. So therefore I've put this exhaust on so that the exhaust fumes are sent to the side and I can use whatever material I like for the backsplash. So if you want to use something different, you can, and you don't have to worry about the heat of the exhaust wrecking your backsplash. Okay, so here you got your spool. It's obviously designed to bring your rope in. Okay, you've got two parts which make up your spool. You've got your sidewall and you've got your inside diameter. Your sidewalls, that's basically metal cut into the shape of a circle, and then your inside diameter is made up of 6 pieces of threaded bar. This threaded bar is set at a certain diameter depending on the speed and the ratio of your gearing. Okay, so here we've got the centrifugal clutch. It's a 12-tooth centrifugal clutch made by Comet Industries. It's secured through this bolt here and another grub screw at the back. The major reason why you need a centrifugal clutch on a winch is so that you can pull the rope back out. When the engine's at low revs, you can spin the chain this way, okay, and that will release the rope back out so you can walk back out to your starting location. Once the engine gets up to a certain amount of RPM, what that does is it then engages the clutch, and the clutch will then start to spin the other way, okay, which obviously pulls the rope in and allows you to ride on the water. So the way a clutch works is it's got these little shoes inside here. Now it's all about centrifugal force, and when this centrifugal force is applied to the clutch, these shoes are thrown out onto this outer casing. Once these shoes hit the outer casing and are pressed up against the outer casing by the centrifugal force, this will then engage the clutch, forcing the chain to go the other way, thus pulling the rider in. Alright, so we've got the chain here, pretty simple. It's a 35 pitch chain. You'll need about 2 feet of it. Right, so the way we get the gear ratio is basically by counting up the number of teeth on the centrifugal clutch. The number of teeth there is 12. The number of teeth on the front sprocket is 66, so it's simply 66 divided by 12, which gives us a gear ratio of 5.5. Okay, now another thing to take into consideration is the inner diameter of the spool. The inner diameter of the spool is approximately 7 inches, or about 276 millimeters. Now, what the gear ratio does is it determines how fast your rider will be going. So the top speed of the DTS winch is approximately 25 miles per hour on that gear ratio. Okay, so here you got your backsplash, basically designed to keep the water off the motor. This is just a bit of real estate sign. You can get that at your local hardware. Basically it's just pop riveted at the bottom and secured with the rope guide at the top, and that'll prevent all the water from going from your rope onto your engine. Okay, so with your nuts and bolts, make sure you're doing two things. Firstly, you're using Nylock nuts, okay, and secondly, you're backing that up with a product called Loctite. What those two things combined will do will prevent your nuts and bolts from coming loose due to the vibration of the engine, and it will just make your winch run a whole lot better. Okay, here we've got the paint job. Now, it's really important to get a really high grade paint job done. This uses a rubber epoxy paint which they use on ocean liners. Okay, now getting this paint job is pretty expensive, but well worth it, as it prevents any rust from getting into your frame.